Hey y'all, this is my recording for the Venus retrograde that is happening between October 5th, 2018 to November 15th, 2018, okay? Oh God. So, what does retrograde mean? What does Venus retrograde mean? So, with any retrograde, right? When it's transiting, it means that we need to be reflective and introspective when it comes to the energies of that planet. Now, the interesting thing about Venus is it has an introspective side, an introverted side and an extroverted side. The introverted side is represented by Taurus energy or second house energy, in which we definitely are connected to our desires, but how our desires are connected to our self-worth and material worth, money and possessions, right? And then there's the extroverted side, which is represented by Libra, and that is connected with relationships, specifically one-on-one relationships, when you're compatible with the person and you're vibing with the person well, and things are smooth and harmonious. You're understanding people's perspectives, you're picking each other's minds, and an open compromising way. You get what I'm saying? So with that, right, these are the themes that we are actually being we're reflecting on. We're being introspective on, is really understanding what is our self-worth. Do we really understand our self-worth? How is our self-worth, our current self-worth, reflecting into our financial life and our material worth, our possessions? And then really reflecting on what we really want in relationships, in intimate relationships, or just compatible relationships, right? Do we know what we want? Are we expressing what we want? Like, you know what I mean? What are we doing wrong? How can we improve? The interesting thing about Venus retrogrades is that it happens every 18 months. And so with that, we have to reflect on the past 18 months. What were the changes that we were going through? How are relationships reflected in our current life? What are we doing? Why are we doing it? How is our self-worth? Comparing our self-worth from 18 months ago to now. What were the changes? What can we improve on? Just reflecting on these things. And the funny thing about retrograde energy, right, is that it does two things. It will make it hard and of course you have free will, but it will make it hard and stop you from getting the physical manifestations of the energies of the planet, right? And so we're talking about Venus here. So it's going to be hard for you to get money opportunities. It's going to be hard for you to get new money popping up for you. It's going to be hard for you to search for your self-worth externally. It's going to be hard for you to get into new relationships, whether romantic or platonic. It's going to be hard for you to relate to someone, connect with someone, vibe with people, could be compatible with people, whether you're in a new relationship, old relationship, trying to get into a relationship, all that. And again, it's kind of, especially we're talking about Venus. And it's going into Libra, and so we're talking about energies. Libra and Venus is all about mirroring, and so we're gonna have people like coming into our lives or back into our lives that's gonna mirror us, and we're not gonna like it, and it's gonna make us reflect. Like, ooh, yeah, I do that though. Oh yeah, he's showing a part of me that I need to fix. She's showing a part of me that I need to fix. So that's the type of energies that's gonna be happening right now. The second thing I kind of already mentioned is that retrogrades bring back people in your life, and they're their mirrors. You're supposed to kind of realize the interactions you guys are making and see what's going on there. Now, allow these people to come back in your lives, right? Or allow these new people to come into your lives. But don't commit into anything until this retrograde is over. Honestly, until the shadow period's over. But definitely don't commit until the retrograde period is over on November 15th for sure. Okay. Again, this is mirroring energies, and honestly, if this person lasts longer than the retrograde and lasts longer than the shadow period, that means they're supposed to be there, and most likely they're your soulmate, but they're also teaching you something. It could be a karmic partner too, but regardless, they're important in your life and they're teaching you something. And it's kind of like a test of the universe saying, is this the right person for you? Do you really have that unconditional love? Like, is this supposed to be the person for you? Are you learning your lessons on intimacy, on relationships, on self-worth, on material worth? You get what I'm saying? You might even have old jobs contact you back, or old opportunities come back at you, and is testing your self-worth. Like, is this job or opportunity worth your time? Is this something that is, worth your while, worth your energy? Is it enough money? You know what I mean? Really just think back on these things. It's making you're going to have these old opportunities, old situations, exes, old people come into your life, mirroring you, and it's the universe testing you like, hey, like, have you learned? Are you reflecting? Because I'm about to teach you right now through these real life experiences, motherfucker. You better get it together. That's what the universe is doing, okay? And it's trying to teach us and prep us for this beautiful situation that we're about to get into. Now, the reason why I know it's beautiful is because, this retrograde starts at 10 degrees Scorpio and it ends at 25 degrees Libra. And the reason why I know it's very special is because of the specific degree it's in. I'm going to talk about that, but let me talk about Scorpio and Libra real quick. Now, Scorpio and Libra are the two major relationship signs, okay? You can count Sagittarius in there. It's relationship in a different way, but it's like more relationships with the world, like with cultures, with different beliefs. You as a person kind of adopting something that's foreign to you and pairing up with it. But let's talk about like relationships, right? Scorpio represents that intimate, emotionally transforming, emotionally binding type of relationship, like kind of twin flame type of love. It's 107, my birthday. Hey, 107 my time. And then Libra represents that compatible love, that easygoing love, where you get to understand each other's perspective. It's easy, it's not hard, it's not emotionally dragging and transforming, it's not driving you nuts, like more like the Scorpio type of love, right? And so they kind of represent in two different types of relationships: the easygoing, even kill, vibey, compatible relationships, and the emotionally transforming, changing, emotionally binding type of relationships. Now, some people like the emotional relationships because it really feels like they're alive. It really feels like the love is deep, and that is a no love that you've never experienced before. But some people want more of the Libra type of situation where it's just easy for you to deal with. It's calm, it's easy, it's fun, it's your vibing is harmonious. But the thing is that, what's interesting is that the energies of all the zodiac flow into each other. And so, whether you want to or not, you're going to flow into one of those emotionally binding relationships, but you're also going to flow into one of those easy relationships too, eventually. It's like, that's why it's the circle. You get what I'm saying? So I guess I definitely wanted to mention that because this Venus retrograde is really special. It's very, it's kicking off how our relationships are going to be. It's making us realize what relationships we want and what relationships we're looking for in these next about like 8 years. Because I think it's not going to be in Scorpio and Libra again until another 8 years. Because I believe the last time it was in Scorpio and Libra was 2010. Okay? So, with all that being said, and shout out to my friend Cass who told me that about the 8 years thing, which I think she got it from the Leo King. So shout out to him too. Okay. Now let's get more in depth with why this is so special, right? I kind of touched on it, how we're talking about relationships here. I know a lot of people, y'all loved me talking about romantic shit. That's the only time y'all really go in. I mean, I'll listen to me with other stuff too, but like, goddamn, like that's all y'all care about is love. But the thing is though, is that, this is this is going to be covering like this retrograde, the relationship signs, right? But what's really dope is that it's starting at the very beginning of the second decan of Scorpio, right? 10 degrees Scorpio, which starts the second decan of Scorpio, which the second decan of course, all of Scorpio is ruled by Pluto, but the second decan of Scorpio is also ruled by Neptune, right? And you know what Neptune's all about. Neptune is about the unknown. It's about spirituality, spiritual connection, intuition, right? It's all about disillusionments as well, and about self-undoing and self-sabotage, right? And so with it starting specifically there, right, it's saying that you're not ready to really get deep into understanding your desires, your self-worth, and relationships that are connected to spirituality and your self-undoing. You need to do some more work, right? And so, but for it to start right there means that we are prepping for that spiritual connection that we're about to get into. We are prepping for it and making sure that we are ready for this deep spiritual connection we're going to be getting into. Now, it could be romantic for some people. It can be a business connection for some people. It can be platonic. But regardless, it's going to definitely be connected, a spiritual connection, a spiritual intimacy that you guys are going to be into. Okay. Now remember, intimacy has multiple layers. Okay. You could be intimate through romance, through sex, right? You could be intimate through energies. Like, that's why divination rules under Scorpio in the 8th house and Pluto type of energies, is because you're being intimate. I'm getting to know your energy by reading your chart as an astrologer. I'm getting to know more of your energy by reading you with using tarot. Magic, you get into the energies of other people. That's intimate stuff. Shared worth. Shared money. You get into the other people's energy with shared worth, but with shared money, you're knowing people's finances. Not that many people know finances like that. This is secretive stuff that people really don't know. The stuff that's to the dark that only a few trusted people know. That's what Scorpio and Pluto is all about, and the 8th house is all about. That secretive stuff that only you and a few other people, maybe only one other person knows. It's really intimate. So you see what I'm saying? Intimacy has multiple layers. It's not necessarily romantic, okay? And so for the Venus retrograde to start at that specific time, a specific degree, it's saying that you're about to get into the spiritual love and you need to prep for it because you really don't know what you want. I don't think you're ready for this. I don't think you're ready for the spiritual love. I don't think you're ready for this type of intimacy, and you need to know where intimacy comes from, right? So again, with it being the second decan of Scorpio, it's saying that, this is about to be a spiritual intimacy that you're connecting to. With it moving to the first decan of Scorpio, is saying you need to learn what intimacy is, connected to relationships and connected to your own self-worth, right? And then with it being in the third decan of Libra, it's saying that you need to learn what relationships are, how intimacy starts. You get what I'm saying? And I'll get into more detail about that. If you go look at the progression of Libra to Scorpio, right? Go to the Libra first decan, which is degrees 0 through 9. This is ruled by Venus. Libra is generally ruled by Venus, but this decan is also ruled by Venus, so it's double Venus. This is you desiring someone, liking someone, and vibing with someone well, right? Getting to know them, being happy with them. You guys are sharing your desires. Bam, second decan, ruled by Venus still, but co-ruled by Uranus. You're learning people's quirks, what makes them an individual, their originality, what makes them unconventional, the things that they like that's unconventional. You're getting to know a little bit more about them and their quirks, right? But you go to the third decan of Libra, still ruled by Venus, but co-ruled by Mercury. And so you're really communicating with the people well, and really get to know the details of them, really get to know them well. Think about, what rules Mercury. And that's an air sign, right? Because we're talking about an air sign here with Libra. It's Gemini. And when Gemini, they really like something, they get to know it deeply. And when they really like people, they're the same way. And so they will probe you to death. They don't want you to probe them, but they will probe you to death because they want to know you in and out. So if you find you interesting, they find you cool, and it's just a person, a subject, whatever, they go deep into it, right? Really, really into it. So the funny thing about it is, when you really, really like someone, if we're talking about relationships, right? You really want to get to know them. And emotions start to get there. And then when the emotion starts to get there, intimacy starts. That's when you get to the first deck in the Scorpio. And that's when the intimacy really begins. You see what I'm saying? How the energy flows and how it's like you're really getting to learn the beginning of intimacy. That's what I'm trying to say. But let me get into a little bit of details on what specifically this retrograde really means by kind of getting a little bit more detailed. So with this, we need to be, again, introspective, reflecting, thinking back. Again, things are not going to be manifesting for us in the external. So if we want things to manifest, we need to work internally, and then it might manifest slowly externally. But then soon as Venus goes direct, bam, if we start really working it in internally and try to manifest it internally, soon as Venus gets direct, it's going to be in your face. So if you want a relationship, right, you work on yourself internally, you manifest it internally, you really go through what I tell you to go through when it comes to working on yourself, learning what intimacy is, understanding the spirituality to it, understanding what you want in a relationship, understanding too your self-worth, understanding how your shared worth and your how shared worth is connected to self-worth, understanding the type of relationships you want and how relationships are connected to your self-worth. If you start working on those things, as soon as Venus is direct, bam, it comes. If you don't work on those things and it takes you a little while, it takes you to the shadow period to come through, then it may take a little longer. But, you have to manifest these things internally and work on yourself internally. And then when Venus goes direct, it's going to come like that. Almost kind of like Uranus style. You know what I mean? And then it might start even manifesting during the Venus retrograde slowly. But then things will rush in as soon as it goes direct, okay? So anyways, let me continue. So we have to see how shared worth is involved with self-worth, okay? When it comes to Venus being in Scorpio. Is it too involved? Is your self-worth is shared worth too involved in your self-worth? If a person were to leave, would your self-worth leave too? You know what I mean? Is there one person or a few people who is giving you your self-worth, and is it too much? Like, is it too based on this relationship or this intimacy that you're in? And this relationship could be romantic, platonic, business, whatever. If that person leaves, would your sense of self-worth leave with them? You know what I mean? You have to learn how to balance the two. It's really, really important. Material worth is the reward of true self-worth. So we have to build a worth from within. You know what I mean? You have to build your self-worth from within. So if other people were to leave and your shared worth turns into self-worth by itself, that you still have that, and you can still get that material worth, the financial money, the financial worth, the possessions on your own. You know what I mean? You can't be in shared worth and you're not, your self-worth is depleted and it's based off of this one person's self-worth. You know what I mean? That's not a balance. It's not right. So you have to build on your self-worth too. And once you build on your self-worth, not only opportunities that are shitty won't come around you as much anymore, but also people who are shitty won't come around you anymore. And so you only have worthy opportunities, worthy people coming to you. Of course, every now and then you get this shitty opportunity. You get this shitty person. That's supposed to be the lesson. That's the universe testing you. That's God testing you, saying like, okay, are you doing this shit right? You know what I mean? Are they still having their self-worth? And would you pass that test, you flick that person out of the way, flick the opportunity out of the way, like, no, you're not worth my time. Unfortunately, peace out. Or you're not worth my energy. Sorry. Then, you're doing the things right. The universe and God, they love giving us those little lessons sometimes. You get what I'm saying? The thing is, though, is that, like I said before, like, material worth is the reward of having true self-worth. So it's really, really important for us to build that. And that not only gives us the finances we want, but also the intimacy that we want in relationships. We are also learning about our desires in relationships. Once, Venus moves from the first decade of Scorpio to the third decade of Libra, how we communicate our desires to ourselves, how we communicate our self-worth to others that we are in one-on-one relationships with. So the reciprocity naturally flows. You know what I mean? Because Mercury is the co-ruler of the third decade of Libra. And so we have to really communicate our self-worth, and not to just ourselves, but to others. We have to remind ourselves that we're worthy in our mind, because Mercury rules the thoughts, and then communicate it out to the world, communicate it out to the one-on-one relationships that we are in, so people just know not to come to us on some bullshit. And then the reciprocity flows of you giving, they giving, and it just comes naturally. You get what I'm saying? Another thing too, that's kind of on the self-worth end, but if we talk about relationships, let's talk about that. So, again, with Pluto being at 10 degrees, Venus being at 10 degrees of Scorpio, again, that's showing that this is a spiritual connection here that is connected to not only our self-worth, but the relationships that we are in, right? We also need to reflect on what does intimacy means to us during this time, and specifically when Venus moves to the first decade of Scorpio, because that is ruled by Pluto, and so and Scorpio is naturally ruled by Pluto. So this whole energy of intimacy, of transformation, of emotionally binding energy, rebirth is really running deep. And so it's reminding us, and forcing us to reflect on what does intimacy mean to us. We know the general meaning of intimacy, right? Is you emotionally binding with someone and connecting with someone. But how do you personally get there? You know what I mean? So like also too, are you allowing yourselves to be emotionally vulnerable enough to be intimate, to really connect with someone, to really emotionally bind with someone? What do you desire in intimate relationships as well? That's another thing that you need to reflect on, whether they are romantic, platonic, or business. How do you even get there to that intimate relationship? And then we're also learning on our desires in relationships, the beginning of relationships, the beginning of the relationship and the beginning of intimate relationships. How we turn from a harmonious, compatible relationship to an earth-shattering, intimate, transformative love. I know a lot of y'all been looking for, that twin flame love, that karmic love that kind of shakes you. Some people are scared of it. Some people want it. Some people are going to get it regardless. You know what I mean? It depends on your life path and your chart or whatever. But this is a time for us to really reflect on that, to see what do we really want. Like, leave all the shit alone, that the outside shit alone that's happening outside of you. You need to be really introspective to really realize what you want. Don't let nurture affect your thought pattern on that. Really feel. Don't be on I was hurt before from from other people, so now I don't want an intimate relationship, or you know what I mean, I don't want just a regular compatible relationship. I just want that earth shattering one. You have to really think within yourself, what will be the best for you. would you want both? You know what I mean? Do you want to experience it all? Like, you have to really reflect on that, and you have to understand, what does that mean for you in particular? What does intimacy mean to you? What do you want in an intimate relationship? What does relationships mean to you? What do you want in an intimate relationship, or what you want in a relationship, just a compatible regular one? How does your self-worth involve in both of these things? Are you just gonna give, and that's it? Like, are you currently doing that? How can you balance that? You need to balance self-worth and shared worth. And that's the only way, that's the thing that I've noticed in people too. Like, they will give, and always, attract people who take. Or they take, and always attract people who also take. Or you attract people who give, and you become a moocher, and everyone calls you a bum, and then you're mad. You know what I mean? You have to have that balance, or you just don't attract people at all. That happens too. You need to learn how to balance it all. It's really, really important. You need to build your own self-worth too. That's extremely, extremely important. All right. And so, that's my general word for the, actual Venus retrograde, right? Just remember that, during this time, there's going to be people who's going to be coming back in your life, or new people coming into your life that is mirroring you during this time, to let you see yourself at the end of the day. If you're not, especially if you're not being the type of person that's reflecting on relationships, that's not opening to the energies of the universe and the energies that God is providing for us, and you're not being reflective. Like, for instance, right? Last Venus retrograde, right? I was single. I didn't have people try to really come back in my life. I did, but I ignored them. But I was able to reflect and be introspective on my own and learn the lessons of the last Venus retrograde, right? And so you can do that too. Of course, you'll have people that will mirror you, or some people that come back. Some people need to come back to you just for themselves. You know what I mean? Because you responding by ignoring is mirroring them too. You get what I'm saying? So, like, just go with it. Don't try anything. Just go with the energies and be more Pisces. Just flow with the energies and try to learn from them. But just remember that if you try to push a relationship, if you're trying to push a money opportunity, if you're trying to push anything, it's not going to work out. You have to really reflect on these things. Be introspective. Reflect on the past 18 months. See the changes from within you, and see what else you have to change. Also think back to 2010, when the last Venus retrograde was, when it was in Scorpio. How did you change from then as well? You get what I'm saying? It's so funny with me. Back in 2010, it was funny. I actually left a job, right? That I was in, because the job was like absolute bullshit. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm leaving that job. And what I'm going to do is just apply to another job and keep applying to these other jobs. And I had this other job lined up, but I was still interviewing for it. So I'm like, whatever. I just want to leave that job because, again, it's funny, this whole self-worth thing. I had this manager who kept trying to, I have issues with managers. I have Cancer in the 6th house. That was just trying to, fuck with me and bother me just for the smallest, littlest things. I've seen people who will fuck up so bad around me and they'll be fine. It was just so not fair. And so I was like, you know what? I'm leaving this job. This job's probably fake anyway. So I left it, right? And I didn't have a job lined up yet. I was still trying to see how this other job was going. And I ended up getting that other job. And it ended up working out in my favor. But I kind of stood up for myself and was like, you know what? I'm not dealing with this disrespect anymore. I'm bouncing. You know what I mean? I realized my own worth. Now, again, I half-assed learned that lesson because, yes, I got paid more, but still not as much as I was worth. So I learned the lesson a little bit, But still, the whole action of that is real. And so I actually kind of see myself going through a similar situation career wise too. And so it's really interesting how you see yourself doing similar things, but in an elevated level. But if you see yourself doing the similar things in the same level, or doing the similar things in a lower level than what you were about 8 years ago, you need to reassess, and you need to do a lot of reflection. Okay. All right. So, what I'm going to do is look at some of the aspects that are being made while Venus retrograde is in 10 degrees Scorpio. Okay. And so the first thing that I've noticed is that it's semi-sextile the sun, right? Which can, I'm just going to let y'all know this Venus retrograde, the first day, is going to shake us. It's going to fuck us up. We're going to be really annoyed. Just letting you know right now. I ain't gonna lie to you. Let me actually see the time that it's gonna happen so I can give y'all a fair warning, because there is gonna be a lot of crazy aspects. It looks like it's gonna start at 8:00 Eastern Standard Time, y'all. Just to give y'all that heads up, okay? Because I see a semi-sextile, a square. I do see a trine and a sextile too, so at least it's not gonna be too bad. But this Venus retrograde is going to be semi-sextile the sun, right? So the sun, okay, we're focusing on relationships, right? Connecting with others, the harmonious, compatible, picking each other's minds, really getting each other type of relationships. The sun is also in the second decan of Uranus, so we're really getting to know the originality of people, their authenticity, their quirks and stuff like that. And that's the fun part. You're like, oh, ha ha ha, he snorts when he laughs, or ha ha ha, she her nose runs when something happened. I don't know, when she drinks soup, whatever. Right? You're learning those cute little things, right? But again, Venus is in the intimacy part, so the energies are similar but not of the same season, right? Which is the cuffing season, but it's deeper. You desire something a little bit more deeper than that. You know what I mean? You're really looking for that kind of spiritual connection, that spiritual bond, and even with self-worth, you're trying to understand the big meaning of it all. Why is everything so unknown when it comes to your self-worth? How do you get to have a higher self-worth? You're really trying to get the bigger picture of it. Wow. The sun is kind of just learn the quirky things about people. Yeah, let's do that. You know what I mean? That's what the whole energy of the season is. And so your desires are not matching up with the general season. You know what I mean? What you're identifying with, what you're reacting to when you're reacting to these things, because it is the Libra season, the, harmonious relationship season. You get what I'm saying? So that's kind of making us feel a little bit uncomfortable. But what's making it worse is this retrograde is squaring the nodes. So the node is 3 degrees Leo, north node, and the south node is 3 degrees Aquarius. And so with that aspect, we kind of have this mission on around this time right now, is when it comes to our natal north node, what we're doing is we're trying to understand our talents, our creativity and self-expression, and how society perceives these things, right? And so just think about how this world is now. Very, very focused on how people perceive what we do. Even just simple things like social media, right? Everyone, we're very focused on people's perception of what we do, and we're tweaking it based off of that. And that's kind of the South Node vibe, right? Which is not what we need to be doing. What we actually need to be doing is just understanding our self-expression, practicing it, using our talents and creativity, having fun with it, enjoying life, and really being inspired by us enjoying life and having fun, not really focusing on what other people perceive these things, right? And so, that's what we're playing around with right now. But again, our desires are based off of really building our self-worth through connecting and building shared worth opportunities, as well as learning more about the spiritual, emotional, intimate connections and relationships that we can get into. And so even though the energy, the lessons that we're supposed to be learning right now is connected with our self-expression, how people perceive it, we desire just to be in an intimate spiritual relationship with people. That's why everyone is just so, especially right now, everyone's so like, I want a bae. Oh my God, I need a bae. I want a soulmate. Where's my life partner? I'm a twin flame. You know what I mean? That's why everyone's like that right now. Because it's cuffing season, sun's in Libra, and then also because this freaking retrograde's making it worse too. Jupiter's not helping, nor Mercury. So, that's the kind of vibe here. So the energies are not really agreeing with each other at the moment. And it's funny because this is fixed energy, and so it's just stuck. It's just stuck there, and it's not going anywhere, and it's just how it is, unfortunately. So yeah, and it's actually, when I kind of peep, there is a T-square happen between Mars, Mars, North Node, and Uranus, right? Which is wild. And once Venus actually goes a little bit more in, it'll be actually creating a grand cross, which is wild. And I'll be talking about that a little later, okay? But actually, let me give you the last bad news, and then I'll give you the good news. So lastly, Venus is also going to be squared Mars, like I mentioned before, with a whole T square, right? And so with that aspect, first of all, Mars is all about drive and motivation, right? And, with it being in Aquarius, we're drive and motivated by our circle, by society, by the people around us, by the people that we connect with, right? And our desires is not really focusing on being driven and motivated about these things. It's really focused on us, really connecting in a spiritual level and an emotional level with people, whether it's romantic, platonic, business, really getting to know people, the details of them, and actually understanding our own disillusionments within the intimate relationships we're in. You know what I mean? Understanding our self-sabotaging ways in the intimate relationships we're in, and how we can get out of that. You know what I mean? So those are two different things. One is very personal and intimate and secretive between you and another person, while Mars is kind of like you're being driven by, just the people around you, and the people around you could be influencing you to do things that's not right. Instead of you focusing more on the people around you, instead of you focusing on that person that you're supposed to be focused on, that one-on-one, deep, intimate relationship. And so you be careful with you being influenced by your friends to do something in an intimate relationship, or kind of act a certain way about relationships. Kind of make sure you're doing this, understanding relationships more on your own. Don't be influenced by the other people around you, because they might tell you some advice and never follow it themselves, or their lesson's good for them but not for you. You know what I mean? So it's very important for you to be introspective during this time, okay? Don't listen to other people, honestly. The beautiful thing about this, though, is that this Venus will be sextile Saturn. So it kind of shows that, you are trying to take authority over your self-worth. You are trying to take authority over your intimacy and intimate relationships, and really trying to take this seriously and use your emotions and utilize your emotions in a more practical way, which is actually beautiful. You're willing to get that status that you want. You desire that status within the relationships, whether it's intimate or not. And so that's nice. You know what I mean? You're really focused, and it shows that the lessons that you learn within this retrograde is going to stick with you for a very, very long time, maybe your whole life too. So that's dope. Lastly, what's really, really dope about this energy is this trine, this Venus is making with this retrograde Neptune. Again, more of a reason to show you that this is very connected with your spiritual love. This is something very spiritual, and you're really, what's interesting is that this Neptune retrograde is really trying to strengthen our intuition by kind of giving us disillusioned information, and bring it to light our self-sabotaging ways, so we can strengthen this intuition, ask our guides to help us a little bit more, or whatever you do to ask whoever, yourself, even your higher self, whatever, right, to strengthen your intuition to become better, a better you. You know what I mean? Whether you do this through connecting with God, your angels, your guides, yourself, whatever, right? Just strengthen that intuition, strengthening your varied emotions to kind of know when to act, when to not act, when to do, when to not do. And they're throwing your self-sabotaging ways in your face so you can kind of practice that. They're throwing illusions in your face so you can practice that intuition, practice your emotions and how to handle them. You get what I'm saying? And the thing is that this is deeply connected with your self-worth, because you're going to be feeling feelings of you're going to be feeling like you're not that good. And you're going to be feeling that you're awesome. You're learning to balance those emotions so you can react in a better way. Use your intuition in a better way, in a more clear, pure intuition. You know, you're realizing and understanding your pure intuition in this situation. And it's also good with relationships too, because, you know, this is kind of showing even more the spiritual connections within the relationships that you're going to be in. It's like showing that, you know, there's most likely the love that you're going to get after this retrograde is going to be a spiritual love, a telepathic love, a kind of love at first sight. Oh my God, like insane, intense, like I've known you for all my life and I just met you now type of connection. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people are going to be feeling that. And it could be romantic. It could be platonic. It could be business. It could be just you feeling this about yourself. This new transformative version of yourself. You know what I mean? But again, both these energies are retrograde. So you need to be really introspective and reflective to strengthen that intuition, to know you're getting to that right person, to know when you see that person that they're the right one that you're supposed to be connecting with, to know how to act with them. This is prepping you for this relationship so you won't fuck it up. You get what I'm saying? So that's, again, the deep vibe that I'm feeling here, okay? So I was going to go and talk about the other aspects, but this is already like 42 minutes long, y'all. The other aspects I was going to talk about is when Neptune is going to be in 3 degrees Scorpio, and then lastly when when Venus is going to be 3 degrees Scorpio, and then lastly when Venus is going to be in 25 degrees Libra. But you know what? I'll maybe do a 3-parter, right? This is part 1. Part 2 will be a check-in with Venus retrograde, right? Me reiterating some things and then talking about those aspects. And then when Venus goes direct, I'll talk about those aspects. You know what I mean? Does that sound like a better idea? I like that idea better. And so what I would do, let me get you a date. So October 25th is when I'll do the second part, between the 25th and the 26th. But I'm going to try for the 25th, okay? I'll put it, I'm like writing it down now. And then Fobember. I'm saying Fobember for, I watched LaGuardia Cross, New Father Chronicles, and his daughter Amala said November as Fobember, and it was so cute. But anyways, I'll do the third part when Venus goes direct in Fobember 15th. Okay. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. All right. 555s. Oh, actually not 555. I lied. 10, 25, 15. Yeah, I messed up. Never mind. But they're all divisible by 5. great change, right? Ah, can't get me. I got it. Okay, let me stop. All right, y'all. So that's what, that's all I got for y'all for now. I'll definitely do the third part on the 25th to keep the 555 going. And then Venus direct on the November 15th. Okay. All right, y'all. Gear up. Be successful. I know you got this. And I'll talk about that cross when it happens. That'll make the most sense, right? All right, y'all. Actually, it won't be a cross no more. Because Mars moved fast, because Mars is going to be in 17 degrees Aquarius. But it'll still be a T-cross between Venus, Uranus, and North Node. So it'll still be a T-cross. It won't be the huge cross. Or T-square. It won't be a... See, I'm saying this wrong. It will be a T-square between Venus, Uranus, and North Node. It won't be a grand cross. Bam. Okay. I'm getting it together. I am. All right, y'all. I wish y'all the most love ever and have a good luck. And remember, don't freak out just because it's retrograde. Okay. Retrograde is just asking you to reflect on the planet, the energies of the planet. That's it. The reason why shit fucks up is because you're trying to push things and make it happen. And it's just not going to. And if it does, it's going to fuck up. Like, retrogrades cause major disillusionments, especially since Neptune's also retrograde too. And so a lot of times when you do things on a retrograde, when it goes direct, you realize like, oh shit, I fucked up and I regret this. Or you're like, you get out of that relationship or you get out of that situation soon as Venus goes direct. Okay. So remember, just be reflective, be introspective. Don't take any action, external action, because you're going to regret it straight up. Okay. Especially when it comes to, money situations and love. All right. Or any type of relationship. Okay. Hopefully this was helpful. Maybe in the second part too, what I'll do is talk about it within the houses. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Because this is too long. I don't want this to be an hour. All right, babies. Peace.